Hi, my name is Ty Pullman. I'm a sophomore on the baseball team. This is B Rebel Week.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Diedrich. I'm a junior on the cheerleading team.
I'm Sean Gage, and I'm a junior on the men's swim and dive team.
Hi, my name is Avital Wilson Petit, and I am a junior on the women's cross country and track team.
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about innovation for B Rebel Week. And the first thing I want to ask the group is just regarding, innovation in the context of technology. How do you feel innovation benefits you in your academic career and your athletic career?
I'll take this one. I think innovation is it's promoting growth, right? You can't keep moving forward if you don't think outside the box and try things you never thought possible, right? So when it comes to sport and a professional life, I think being innovative it takes place everywhere. You have to find a way to be successful in a new way, not just following, everyone around you. You always have to innovate, and you find that throughout life. I mean, technology is the big one that you see when someone says innovation, right? But it's really just finding something new, a new path or a new way of doing things, right, to get to somewhere that you want to be. So I think it's huge in sports. Being innovative is one of the most successful, where people find the most success, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, going off of what Sean said, I think that we often think innovating is more of a technological term or used in that way, but I think that it's also used in creating new ideas and new techniques in our academic lives and also our sports as well.
Yeah, and kind of building off of that, I know training has changed so much because I remember stories of my mom talking about when she was training, and even my grandpa when he used to train for track, and he used to do like hundreds of plyometrics, and they just did a whole bunch of, we call it old school training now, but that just kind of goes to show you how much innovation has really changed training practices. So now we've gotten a lot more customized. I think that's kind of where innovation has taken us as a society now. Everything's becoming more customized, even with like our phones are becoming more customized, or even advertisements are becoming more customized to what we want. So it's also spilled over into training too. So we really look at the individual and we make a unique training experience for that specific athlete. And I think that's what's taken sports as far as it has been in the present day, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know if you guys touched on that, how innovation has touched your sport, and is there specific examples? I know you just discussed plyometrics were used in your sport, and then it's kind of evolved over time to be more customized. Is there any other sport specific examples anyone can think of that now applies to their sport?
I have one. So in swimming and diving recently, they've started using technology to innovate how swimmers are performing and analyzing the movements that they're making in the water. Because I mean, if you think about it, you think about running, right? You think about aerodynamics. It's the same in the water times 10, just because you're trying to get through the water as fast as you can, the most efficient way possible. So we have things, we call it neuroplasticity training. We have a few TVs around the pool and underwater cameras and above water cameras that are analyzing the exact angles that we're hitting the water and where our arms are catching in the water, how much water we're catching and how much water we're pushing back behind us. That's a huge innovation, not even just technology, but the idea of analyzing people's movements. I mean, you could see 30 years ago, I mean, people were swimming breaststroke where you couldn't even put your head underwater, which is insanely like not efficient, right? And now the sport, you have your head underwater and like you're trying to get in a streamline, you're trying to get through the water as fast as you can, because you can't power through water. You have to be efficient, right? So being innovative in that aspect, I think neuroplasticity is one of the biggest examples for swimming.
I'll touch on for baseball. Baseball, the entire baseball from high school to the major leagues has always been wrapped up now in spin rates and launch angles and how can I hit the ball farther if I just do this with my bat, or if I spin the ball, how much more will it break, or how much more will it seem to rise? So there's all these different things that people are using to just do the super minor things that make major adjustments. So I think for baseball specific, the innovation and all the technology that's being applied through like sabermetrics, where this guy has been hitting his batting average off my fastball 1-0 is 326, but if I throw him a curveball 1-0, his batting average is 236. So it's the innovation has been applying to the certain strategies in the games, and also into training, where we have a lot of stuff where the innovation in the weight training, the innovation of what the stuff we do and how it applies to our sport. We're doing a lot more sport specific movements, so it better translates into our game. So there's been a ton of innovation in baseball that has helped us compete and get better, and find new ways to be great in our sport. So kind of getting away from sports now, how can you say innovation has benefited just people around you? It could be in your sport, but also just in your kind of everyday life. How have you noticed that innovation has changed the people around you?
For me, I think a continuous drive towards something new keeps the world, keeps your sport, it keeps you moving forward, So I think a constant strive for innovation will always affect the people around you as well as yourself. But if anything, it will benefit the people around you, because it will drive people to move forward. It will drive people for success. Never to step backwards, always to, continue to improve and move towards something higher than what you're at now.
Yeah, going off of that, I think that in the world that we live in today, we're kind of forced to move on and like create new ideas and kind of develop new things in our lives. Us as athletes, I think that we kind of have that mindset already. We're trying to always move on to that next level and push ourselves within our sports as well as in our lives in general.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the side effects of living in a capitalist nation, is you really want to move on to you want to create the next and the better thing, and you want to figure out, you want to be different and you want to be unique. So, I mean, you can take it back to when iPhone came out. Like at first nobody was using that, but now everybody kind of uses it. And then there was no Facebook before, but then once Facebook came out, then social media platforms just became like a really big thing. And I think it's really helpful because I know people say that with all these social medias and all the technology, it drives people away. But I really think that it brings people closer together, especially in times like this. Like if we never had that wave of iPhones and we never had that wave of social media platforms, then we wouldn't really know what to do with ourselves as a society during quarantine, or kind of just figuring out how to, move forward while the world kind of has to stay still. So I think just being on edge and just trying to create something that's not needed at a time, like platforms like Zoom. A lot before video conferencing was like a big deal, nobody saw a need for it. They were like, why would we have a video conferencing platform when we can just meet people face to face? But you need something like that for moments like this when you can't meet people face to face. So I think just being innovative and just kind of working towards the next thing before the next thing is needed is what people have been pretty good at so far. And I think that's what really drives us as a society. And I think it makes us pretty cool in a sense.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you hit on, how like you're innovating for things that possibly might help you in the unknown. We had no idea this thing was going to come up, but because of the innovation that we now have, we're allowed to do the things maybe a little bit differently that we were doing in the past, but we're still able to do those things. I think it's a huge, great thing that you just hit on. So where do you feel like we would be without innovation in our sport? Even, today, I know without innovation, we might not be able to do this. So, what are kind of your ideas of where we would be without that?
So I think I would go insane. I think I would expect a new outcome, right? The definition of insanity. I think I would expect a new outcome, but not change anything if I didn't innovate. I didn't strive towards, changing what I was doing. I mean, that's the definition of insanity, like expecting something new to come out of no change. So, yeah.
I think that it would hit our society a little bit differently since we're athletes. We're always striving to be competitors and being better at our sport every day. So I think if we didn't have innovation in our sports, we would go a little bit crazy because we are natural born competitors, which is why we are in athletics.
Yeah, nothing really good or exciting comes from consistency, in my opinion. I think it's more so of what breaks the molds, like what changes the way that we do things that'll benefit us to become better than what we are. I think without innovation and when without that change, we definitely wouldn't have the society that we have now. We wouldn't be the athletes that we are now, and our sports would not be the same. I mean, structurally, you can definitely keep it consistent, but it's just those little details that if you tweak this here, then you'll become this much faster. If you do this here, your process will become 10% more efficient. Like, it's just those little things that just make the sport just so much more interesting. That's why the younger people were able to break all the records that happened way back when, just because of those little tweaks. And we take all the history from behind us and we modify it so that way we can become better. And that's what the people in the future are going to do to what we have now. So I think there really is no sport, there really is no us without any type of innovation.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. For baseball, I know, I don't want to say super long ago, but even in the 90s and stuff like that, for Major League Baseball players, I think the average pitching velocity was probably right around 90 miles an hour. And now, like, every pitcher you see come out of the bullpen's throwing like 95 or 98, where there was like maybe one or two guys in the game throwing that hard. And when they came in the game, it was like, wow, like, this guy's throwing really hard. Now you have guys throwing 104, 105 miles an hour. So, without innovation in baseball, with all these new training techniques, baseball would still kind of be at that level where everyone's just kind of sitting around 90 miles an hour, and everyone's just not really, they don't understand why they're hitting home runs. Maybe they don't understand launch angles. So all these things have evolved our game to be more and more competitive. The last question I have is, how does innovation create a win-win atmosphere?
I think a willingness to innovate provides an environment of forward progression. Like I said, this whole time, innovation is forward progression, I think. I mean, sometimes you go back, right, if you innovate and it doesn't work out, but a willingness to innovate will always lead you forward. So I think it's a win-win for everyone involved in that case. Like, as long as you have that willingness to innovate, it's going to make everyone around you succeed.
I think in the world of sports, all the athletes, they want to get better. The coaches, they want to get better. The companies that make sports products, they want those products to make the athletes better, because then that'll make the athletes want to buy their products more. Like, look at Nike. Nike is known as being an innovative company, which I give them that. And they even look at their running shoes, and they try to make their shoes more aerodynamic, so that way it'll be easier for the runner to use their own power and to work through the stuff. Like, they having a company that will like back their athletes and like wants them to succeed the best way that they can, I think definitely helps the athletes. Like, okay, well, once I get this, then I'll be able to do better. And with the coaches' mentalities, and it's just when you're in that culture and you're in that environment where everybody just wants to win and everybody wants to do the best they can, I think that really is how you develop that win-win culture. And it's just, yeah, I think it's pretty good.
So now, from everything that we're going through, how has innovation helped you to adapt and then ultimately do the things that you would be able to do when this was not going on?
Well, innovation has helped me adapt for sure, because technologically, of course, with all these different platforms and stuff, I'm still in Vegas, but my family is back home, so it's helpful for me to be able to call home and FaceTime them and just to see how they're doing, just so that way I still feel like a part of me is there, but I'm not completely there. And with practice being canceled and we have to do everything on our own, it's kind of difficult for like our weight coach to give us workouts and stuff. But now with these different apps and platforms, we have this app that we use, Train Heroic, which is really helpful because we're able to get lifting regimens and different types of workouts that we normally would get at school, but we can't because of the quarantine. So I think just different things like that has been very, very helpful during this time.
I agree with Avi. I think a lot of the technological advances that we have today have prepared us for this moment. We never thought that it would happen, but luckily we have things like the Train Heroic or Zoom, doing video calls so we can stay connected with our peers and our teammates as well.
I mean, I'm a swimmer, right? So my sport requires that I have a 50-meter pool, basically, 8 lanes across for the most part to have my whole team, right? No one really has those besides public pools. So those are the first things that closed down with quarantine and with shelter in place. So it's been hard because it's hard to further my craft, of swimming. I mean, because you can't exactly just hop in a kiddie pool and stay in place, I mean, I've seen some people that have attached bands to their waists and just like a treadmill swim almost. But for the most part, my craft is stopped, right? So it's not a matter of how can I get better at swimming. It's a matter of how can I stay in shape, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm forced to innovate other exercises that, they're not like running, right? Running doesn't have anything to do with swimming other than that it helps a lot with endurance, right? So if I want to keep my endurance up, then I learned to run. So I've been running recently, which is horrible because my knees are all like jello because I'm supposed to be in water, not on land, right? Gravity is horrible.
Yeah.
But like innovating in that sense, like finding new ways, even not technology. I mean, running's been around since the start of man, right? So it's innovating in a way that's finding something new, finding a new path to get to where I want to be. And right now that's running. That's like maybe some slight ab workouts, things like that, but it's not swimming. But you have to be innovative in a time like this. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So are we good?
We're good.
Yeah, I think so.